Caitlin Clark get the last laugh because y'all tried to use her name and her likeness to get this league popping, but y'all was so disrespectful to the young rookie. Now she's laughing all the way to the bank still on y'all haters.
Caitlin Clark has just flipped the script on the Unrivaled League, exposing one of the boldest cases of name exploitation in sports history. The league pulled a disgraceful move, plastering Caitlin's name and image across promotions.
Caitlin Clark and her team were just pissed what Unrivaled have been doing. Obviously, they used her for promotion for Unrivaled the whole time,
hyping her as the face of their upcoming season, all while knowing she wasn't even part of the plan. They fooled fans, sold tickets, and built anticipation for over 10 days, all based on a lie.
Unrivaled did everything they could with all their marketing to make it seem like Caitlin Clark was in the league, to try gain interest in the league. And then, as soon as the mystery players were announced, we're not even going to fill it up. We're going to release 2 mystery players to keep intrigue.
And when the truth came out, it wasn't just shocking, it was absolutely unforgivable. This isn't just a minor slip-up by the league, it's a calculated betrayal of Caitlin's reputation and the trust of her fans.
You know what? She seems to be okay promoting other players, as she always does. But I do think that she probably just said, you know what? This time, this is too much. This is too much. I'm not letting them continue this drag on 3 months of will she, won't she.
Think about it. They tried to ride on Caitlin's success, her hard-earned popularity, just to sell tickets and stay relevant, and they didn't stop at rumors. They trolled the media, hinted at her signing, and strung everyone along like puppets. But Caitlin wasn't going to let them win. She saw through their ploy, called them out for their disrespect, and now the tables have turned.
What is going to help women's basketball, in my view, is not having rival leagues, because they might cannibalize each other to a certain degree. They need the WNBA to be as strong as possible.
The fallout has been massive. Fans are furious, refund demands are flooding in, and the league is scrambling to explain their actions. But Caitlin, she's taking the high road, letting her strength and dignity do the talking. Once again, she's proven why she's not just a star athlete, but a symbol of power and respect in sports.
And it just is not going to stop here on the collegiate tour. But when she is the #1 pick in the WNBA draft, she's gonna lift that league up.
So what led to this shocking betrayal? How did the league stoop so low, and why are people calling for a complete boycott? And most importantly, what's next for Caitlin and this league that dared to mess with her?
Caitlin needed a break from being assaulted, well-torn, insulted, and watching people capitalize using her name and exploiting her talents while getting ticket sales.
Buckle up, because this story changes everything. The Unrivaled League pulled off one of the most shameless marketing stunts we've ever seen. For over 10 days, they teased Caitlin Clark's involvement in their upcoming season, fueling rumors and using her name to ignite a media frenzy. Without a single confirmation from Caitlin herself, they planted headlines and whispers, crafting an illusion that the league had landed one of the biggest names in basketball. The result? Tickets sold out in record time, fans rushed to grab seats, and excitement reached a fever pitch, all because they tricked the world into believing Caitlin was part of their roster. But here's the truth, Caitlin was never coming.
It appears Unrivaled has gotten its answer, and Caitlin Clark is out. According to a report from ESPN, Clark will not play in the new 3-on-3 basketball league.
The Unrivaled League knew this from the start, but went ahead anyway, banking on her massive popularity to fill arenas and pad their bottom line. They didn't just mislead fans, they disrespected Caitlin using her name, image, and accomplishments without her consent. It wasn't about honoring her, it was about exploiting her.
But it appears she has decided not to do Unrivaled, even though Aaliyah Boston's doing it, Lexi Hull is doing it, Kate Martin is doing it. But perhaps the shared sponsor between Unrivaled and Caitlin Clark can make people feel better in the meantime. And I'm not saying Clark was treated well in her inaugural WNBA season, her rookie WNBA season.
And that's where they crossed the line. This wasn't just a marketing misstep, it was a calculated move to manipulate the public and boost ticket sales. They knew Caitlin's name alone could drive revenue, and they gambled on it, assuming she'd stay silent or that the backlash wouldn't matter. But Caitlin isn't just any athlete, she's a trailblazer who knows her worth, and this time, the Unrivaled League underestimated her.
Caitlin Clark has created more buzz around the basketball landscape and has actually transformed and revived a league that was the WNBA.
As the story unraveled, the league's intentions became painfully clear. This wasn't about celebrating talent or innovation in sports. It was a desperate attempt to grab attention at Caitlyn's expense. And when the truth came out, the backlash was swift and unforgiving. Fans felt betrayed, and the league's credibility took a massive hit. But for Caitlyn, this was about more than just correcting a wrong. It was about standing up for herself and refusing to let anyone profit off her name without respect or accountability.
Somebody coming along and elevating the sport shine ultimately benefits you. Go out there, compete with her, try to bust her up if you want to, and all of that stuff. Just don't hate on the acclaim that she's getting.
As the Unrivaled League ramped up their campaign, it became clear they were walking a dangerous line. For days, their promotional efforts revolved around a single name, Caitlin Clark. Her image, her influence, and even vague implications of her involvement were everywhere. Social media posts, ticket sales teasers, and even whispers in sports circles all pointed to one thing: Caitlin Clark joining the league. But while the league fanned the flames, Caitlin herself remained silent.
This kid's on the wrong team. She's got the wrong skill set to handle the physicality of that league. And she's a rookie, targeted by society, targeted by her looks, targeted by her reputation, targeted by the disrespect that they've shown to the WNBA.
That silence wasn't just puzzling, it became the key to unraveling the league's entire charade. Behind the scenes, Caitlin Clark was already aware of what was happening. She knew the league was using her name to draw attention, but instead of rushing to correct the record, she let their desperation take center stage.
And they don't need Caitlin Clark, but if they didn't really want Caitlin Clark, we wouldn't have seen this press of attention, and we wouldn't have seen them speak about it on the record the way that they did.
The longer she stayed quiet, the more obvious it became that the Unrivaled League had no real foundation for their claims. Their ploy wasn't about securing Caitlyn's talent. It was about hijacking her brand to fill seats and create buzz.
We know that this is going to be two WNBA role players. Like, we know that it's not going to be Caitlin Clark. We know it's not going to be Sabrina Ionescu. We know it's not going to be Stewie. It would be completely unbalanced as well to throw Caitlin Clark into this league.
Their promotional timeline was suspiciously convenient. They hinted at a major star joining the league, strategically releasing vague updates to keep fans guessing. But there was never an official announcement, no signed contracts, no statements from Caitlin or her camp. Why? Because there was no deal in place.
Caitlin Clark just came in to play basketball. All of a sudden, the black women of the WNBA decided to knock her on her ass from behind. All of a sudden, the black women, Angel Reese and her teammates, decided to cheer for them. All of a sudden, other black women decided, like Asia Wilson, to be idiots when talking about her, jealous when they're talking about her. Caitlin Clark and her fans didn't start anything.
The league was relying on innuendo and the public's love for Caitlyn to sell tickets. It wasn't about showcasing Caitlyn's talent or respecting her legacy. It was about using her fame as a marketing tool. When fans started catching on, the narrative shifted. The league pivoted to boasting about their record-breaking ticket sales, implying that their success validated their tactics. But fans weren't so easily fooled. The cracks in the story began to show. The league had sold tickets on a false premise. Social media erupted with accusations, calls for refunds, and a growing backlash against their blatant exploitation of Caitlyn's name. What had started as a bold marketing gamble was now unraveling into a PR nightmare. Caitlyn's silence during this time was a masterclass in control. By refusing to engage, she allowed the league's own actions to expose their desperation.
Caitlin Clark is just such a class act. She was incredible, breaking all types of records, and that's something she was certainly proud of. We saw lots of smiles on the court.
Caitlin is the face right now, and that's also good. Like, she's selling out gyms, of course. Like, why would you hate against that?
Instead of confronting the issue head on, she let a trusted outlet like ESPN step in and reveal the truth. This was a tactical move that not only cleared her name, but also ensured the fallout would land squarely on the league. Her refusal to play their game was a powerful statement. Caitlin Clark would not be reduced to a pawn in someone else's scheme. Adding insult to injury, the league's tactics didn't just hurt Caitlin, they disrespected the fans.
You want to know what Kayla said? Better yet, I'm not even going to tell y'all. I'm going to let ESPN tell y'all. Somebody said Unrivaled needs to give money back to those told Caitlyn might be in their Unrivaled. Yes, bro. They got to get something back.
Supporters who trusted the league's promises felt betrayed, realizing they had been manipulated into buying tickets based on lies. Refund demands poured in, with fans expressing outrage at being misled. The Unrivaled League had gambled everything on Caitlin Clark's star power, but in doing so, they alienated the very people they hoped to attract.
The WNBA tried to capitalize on her popularity and crammed a lot of games in over a short amount of time, playing against the best teams in the WNBA.
The deeper issue here is one of respect. The Unrivaled League's actions weren't just a marketing misstep, they were a blatant disregard for Caitlin Clark's legacy and her fans' loyalty. By treating her name as a commodity to be exploited, they underestimated both Caitlin's influence and her integrity. She didn't need to engage in a public feud or call them out directly. Her actions and lack of involvement spoke louder than any words. This wasn't just a failed promotional stunt. It was a lesson in how not to treat athletes, especially someone of Caitlin Clark's caliber. The league's desperate attempt to stay relevant backfired spectacularly, and the fallout was entirely of their own making. Caitlin, meanwhile, emerged stronger than ever, untouched by their schemes and more respected for the grace and poise with which she handled the situation.
Caitlin Clark, what she's doing doesn't minimize what they've done, but we should have been giving her the credit. We saw the ratings, we saw the merchandise sales, we saw the attendance, but y'all want to make it about something else. Oh, what about the women that laid the foundation? What about this? What about it? That ain't got nothing to do with Caitlin Clark. Caitlin Clark is box office. She's doing this.
The moment Caitlin Clark's involvement, or lack thereof, was revealed, fans were furious, and rightfully so. For days, they had been led to believe that the basketball icon was joining the Unrivaled League. Tickets sold out in record time, fans booked flights, and excitement grew, all under the assumption that Caitlin would be the league's star attraction.
There is a lot of appropriate attention on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever, and we found out that the Fever Storm game from over the weekend drew 2.2 million viewers, which is massive. The WNBA has 18 games this season where they've had more than 1 million viewers average, and 16 of those 18 have featured Caitlin Clark. So you cannot deny the connectivity of Caitlin Clark playing basketball and people wanting to watch. If she's playing, they will come, they will watch the game.
But once the truth surfaced, the backlash was swift and brutal. The fans who had supported the league felt used and betrayed, and they weren't going to stay quiet about it. Social media quickly became a battleground. Fans flooded platforms with outrage, calling out the league for their manipulative tactics. Many demanded refunds, pointing out that the entire ticket sale push was based on a lie. The betrayal wasn't just about misleading advertising. It was personal. People had invested time, money, and energy into the promise of seeing Caitlin Clark, only to discover they had been deceived. For the Unrivaled League, this was a PR disaster they couldn't spin.
Caitlin Clark has done is grown the WNBA exponentially. She did in 5 weeks what would have taken 5 years. And as it pertains to draft viewership, she did in 5 days what would have taken 5 years.
But it wasn't just the fans who were angry. Commentators, analysts, and even other athletes chimed in, criticizing the league for their lack of integrity. Using Caitlin Clark's name without her consent wasn't just disrespectful, it was unethical. The league's attempt to ride on her coattails had crossed a line, turning what should have been an exciting season into a cautionary tale about greed and desperation in sports marketing. To make matters worse, the league's response, or lack thereof, only added fuel to the fire. Instead of owning up to their actions, they doubled down on their narrative. Posts boasting about ticket sales continued to flood their channels as if they could somehow gloss over the controversy. This move backfired spectacularly, with fans calling them out in the comments, demanding accountability. The more the league tried to celebrate their success, the clearer it became that they were avoiding the real issue. They had built that success on false promises. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's supporters rallied around her. Fans who had been misled turned their frustration into admiration for Caitlin, applauding her refusal to be part of such a scheme. The contrast between her quiet dignity and the league's desperate antics couldn't have been starker. Where the Unrivaled League had stooped to manipulation, Caitlin had risen above, letting her reputation and principles speak for themselves. This entire debacle highlighted a deeper issue: the exploitation of athletes' names and legacies for corporate gain. Caitlin Clark's brand is synonymous with excellence, hard work, and authenticity, qualities that resonate with millions of fans. By co-opting her name without her consent, the league not only disrespected her, but also undermined the very values that make her so beloved. This wasn't just a marketing misstep, it was a blatant example example of how greed can overshadow respect for the very people who make sports what they are.
Most points by a point guard in a season in WNBA history. Most double-doubles by a rookie guard in WNBA history. Most points by a rookie in WNBA history. Most assists by a rookie in the history of the WNBA.
And the consequences for the league, devastating. Fans vowed to boycott their events, calling for a complete overhaul of how they operate. Sponsors and partners began reevaluating their ties to an organization that had so publicly fumbled its biggest opportunity. What could have been a milestone moment for the league turned into a cautionary tale of arrogance and miscalculation. Caitlin Clark, on the other hand, walked away unscathed and even stronger. Her fans, once caught in the league's web of deceit, now saw her in an even brighter light. Her ability to maintain composure, avoid the drama, and let the truth do the talking earned her even more respect. The league's collapse became a testament to Caitlin's power, not just as an athlete, but as a symbol of integrity in a world that often overlooks it. In the end, the Unrivaled League thought they could use Caitlin Clark to boost their profile, but they underestimated the power of her name and the loyalty of her fans. What they saw as an opportunity to profit became their downfall, proving that respect for athletes and their legacies isn't just important, it's non-negotiable. The Unrivaled League thought they could outsmart everyone, fans, media, and even Caitlin Clark herself, but they've been exposed in the worst way possible. Their scheme to exploit Caitlin's name for ticket sales and publicity has backfired spectacularly, leaving their reputation in tatters. This isn't just a loss for the league, it's a warning to anyone who thinks they can disrespect athletes and get away with it.
When you think about the great point guards and post players that our game, not just our league, but our game has seen, they are going to go down as the greatest. And I'm excited about the opportunity to work with them. I'm excited about the opportunity that we have to build.
Caitlin Clark didn't just refuse to be part of their sham, she stood tall, letting her silence and integrity do the talking. She didn't need flashy comebacks or public confrontations. Her actions proved her worth, her power, and her refusal to compromise. Now, fans everywhere see the truth. Caitlin Clark is more than an athlete. She's a symbol of self-respect, dignity, and strength. As for the Unrivaled League, they've learned the hard way that you don't mess with a name as powerful as Caitlin's. Fans are calling for refunds, boycotts, and accountability, leaving the league scrambling to repair the damage. One thing is clear, they won't recover from this easily. Let this be a reminder to every league, brand, or organization out there. Athletes aren't just names to plaster on posters. They're icons, role models, and individuals who deserve respect. Caitlin Clark has proven that when you bet against her, you'll lose every single time. If you stand with Caitlin and believe in holding people accountable, let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because this story isn't over. Until next time, let's keep celebrating the legends who inspire us and calling out those who try to take advantage. See you in the next one. If you're ready to dive into the latest and greatest moments in women's basketball, you're in the right place. Here on WNBA Original, we cover everything from breaking news to inspiring stories, bringing you closer to the action and the players who make it all happen. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on notifications, so you'll always be the first to know what's happening on and off the court. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for more from WNBA Original.